long-term viewers will know that there has been some changes around the traps here, around our space that you are welcome to be in and join us in. So this is Stylander, and it's just fun, I'm just taking up all that information and experience, etc. I have. Plus, I have an incredible wardrobe, and I don't go anywhere much these days because there's so much work to be done. But fun work. Dwayne and I have a lot of fun doing all of these things. This is our life's work culminating. It's our calling. I know that sounds very grandiose, but I have to pick myself up a little bit because in Sydney, we're currently reeling from the news of a terrible, terrible incident that has happened at a very unexpected suburb, a very affluent suburb where the celebrities and the paparazzi roam, and everyone who wants to be one, they go there too. Unfortunately, it's a terrible, terrible incident. But I'll talk about that in tomorrow's The Daily Egg and the news tomorrow at 7 o'clock, so join us then, tomorrow morning. So, in the meantime, let's continue with the Stylander. So the first Stylander is this, because there's I had to start somewhere because I don't know where, because my wardrobe is seasonal, and I have culled it a lot. But I still have a fairly significant wardrobe because I love clothing, and clothing to me is history, and clothing to me is it's not something to just be worn according to trend and then thrown away because it no longer makes you look like you are keeping up with the Joneses, etc. I don't think of fashion that way. I'm very much part of the circular economy of things, and as in I have been up shopping for 24 years now. I used to vintage shop in my 20s, in the 90s, and I went to school here in the 80s in Australia. So I do know quite a bit about Australian fashion, and I do love it. But today, I'm starting with my not my 5 favorite pieces, because how am I going to ever actually decide that? I should have, suppose, also checked to see if I had lipstick on my teeth, but look, all of a sudden, I was just la la la, and all of a sudden it was 2 o'clock. Dwayne said to me, "You're on." I'm like, "What? Okay. Hello, it's the Stylander." No, it's not. Hello, it's Stylander. Okay. So I decided to lead with 5 of my favorite pieces. I have many favorite pieces. I know it has been said to me before, how can you have so many favorites? A favorite is, by apparently its very nature, the one that you have to, decide that is best to part. But look, I don't know. Is it that simple when you have to choose favorites amongst things of so many different genres and types and pleasure and applications, etc. How can you have a favorite genre of books and movies and music? By the way, we've got the Riff coming up this afternoon at 5 o'clock. Join us then. We'll be talking everything music. Our first episode of the Riff, song lyrics. So we have each chosen a song, and not just talking about the lyrics, but its history, its meaning, what it meant to us when we listened to it first, etc., etc. So I'm starting now with Stylander. 5 of my favorite pieces. Look, I have to confess, I am cheating somewhat because I am also wearing some of my pieces that I love very, very much. And that's starting, I should actually lower, no, I can't lower it. It's starting with this beanie, which is one of my favorite things. It never comes off my head in winter. It's getting a bit cold. It's autumn now in Sydney. It's a bit cold today. So this never comes off my head when it's cold. I absolutely love it. I got it from The Dish at Parkes, New South Wales, a favorite place to be, CSIRO. The Dish, which was instrumental in helping, if it did happen, of course, in 1969. Oh, am I a naysayer? Am I a non-believer? In recent years, I have become, yes, but I was very much, yes, of course they landed on the moon. But now I think perhaps they may not have, which explains why Neil Armstrong never wanted to give an interview about it. Anyway, Buzz Aldrin milked it for all it's worth, and no one remembers the third guy's name. I think it's Michael Collins. He actually made the mission, badge, insignia, or whatever. Anyway, The Dish. Dwayne and I love it there. It is a favorite place. I have been going there for a while to visit. I always need to visit there every time we go out back. And it was wonderful for me to be able to introduce Dwayne to the dish, and he loves it too, and he's got a cool t-shirt. But join us on Monday afternoon at 5 o'clock for Sitara. That's where we talk about everything celestial, from astronomy to astrology to theology. Now we're going to get back to Stylander. So let me continue. Also, this t-shirt. Now, this t-shirt is a bit of a pun for those of us, but it's only a very insider pun, a Fiji insider pun. Lewa butter. The word lewa means I think love or darling or honey. It's a term of endearment. I think it means young, but it's a fond term of endearment. And butter, of course, because rewa butter is the butter in Fiji. Except it's, as we say, it's Fiji's favorite butter from New Zealand. Anyway, so lewa butter is just a bit of a pun, and this is by our t-shirt brand, which we haven't had the time to apply ourselves to, but stay tuned. We've got some new, Dwayne's got some new artwork coming through. And so we'll be resurrecting VT's 679. That is our t-shirt brand, and this is where lewa butter comes from. Our first one was 100% that kutia. Of course, taken from that line in a song that was, the line itself was not written by Lizzo, but taken from another Black American woman. But it's a favorite thing. So 100% that kutia became our flag, you know, our flag shirt, flag t-shirt, I don't know, signature t-shirt. But this is my favorite lewa butter. Also now, I'm wearing this belt, which is an R.M. Williams belt. And that's because, look, I went to school in Australia. I'm a real outback kind of girl. I don't wear any R.M. Williams things out back, though, because them settlers on that stolen land, they're not very, they're the toughest people, and I do love country people, okay? I grew up with girls in boarding school who are from the country, and they're tough, and they're amazing, and they're gorgeous, and they're super skilled, and, you know, they can wear ball gowns one day, and the next day they're going out, you know, getting rustling kettle or whatever. Not kettle, cattle. You know, like Jill of all trades type thing. So I do love the country Australian woman, but I also extremely love, and this is where my love of and my solidarity came, because that's when I first became aware that First Nations people of Australia back then, we didn't call them that term. I'm not saying it in any derogatory, but the only way we were able to describe them were as Aboriginal, and unfortunately it was also used in derogatory ways, which no, I had very profound experiences, and it was just, yeah, amazing. Anyway, so R.M. Williams, a classic Australian label, man, etc. I've actually been to where it all started, near Longreach, somewhere there, and Adelaide, actually not Longreach, but there is the Stockman's Hall of Fame. I think it used to be the R.M. Williams, something to do with that. I have been there. It's fascinating. I think every person who calls themselves Australian, especially if we're, you know, of the invader kind, should actually go and visit this museum in Longreach, Queensland, because there's a lot of information there that would surprise you. And if you go out back, which we'll talk about, by the way, in our the slideshow coming up next week, we're talking about things out back. So do join us for that one. It's fantastic. It's not a live. It is a drop, and it comes with pictures. So, okay. But going back to R.M. Williams, right? This was based in Adelaide, just classic boots and things like that. I have never owned a pair of R.M. Williams boots. I feel a bit like costume, imposture, because I'm not a country girl. I'm not from Outback, you know, etc. So I feel like, well, no, but belts are okay. They're accessories, but I don't know if I'd wear it out back. As I said, they sort of look at you like, So if you wear cowboy, like horse riding boots out back, and you're not a horse rider, yeah, you get judged. And look, okay. But, oh my gosh, going back to Longreach and the Stockman's Hall of Fame, there you see that the First Nations people, women, were cowboys and cowgirls, etc., etc. The women were cowboys. They had to dress up as guys. They had to dress up, you know, as men folk to be able to go and do all the jackaroo, the jillaroo stuff. Amazing, amazing. I love this problematic country. Both its 235-year-old history and its ancient, and primarily because this very, very young country was constructed on an ancient land. You do have to acknowledge that it's not fair to enjoy It wasn't seeded. All right, it wasn't seeded. Anyway, so do join me on the Daily Egg, Monday, April 15th join us. Join me for the news at 7 o'clock. Going back to what I'm wearing, so this Aaron Williams belt, which I found in an op shop, and it's just gorgeous. I absolutely love it. It's from the 90s when they were still manufacturing in Australia, I believe. I do have a lot of other Aaron Williams shirts, etc., etc. I like it. I like history. I like Australian history. And a lot of Australian history is actually modern manufacturing history, which is very sad that we don't have a manufacturing industry in Australia anymore. Bit of a shame, really, because everything that was made in Australia back in those days, 70s, 80s, and 90s, oh my gosh, I will have to share with you. So the next one, either episode 2 or 3, depending on how I feel today about what I'm showing you, will be about something about Australia. I do need to talk about Australian manufacturing and how, say, the bags that were made at that time. Sorry, I just got a beautiful, delightful distraction. It was my husband. But the bags that were made in Australia at that time, from names I will share the next time when I do talk about made in Australia, the bags last to this day. And the same brand, now their bags now, I don't think they last as long, but anyway, we'll talk about that next time. But for now, the first episode of Stylander is about 5 of my favorite pieces. And as I said, I have cheated a bit because I'm wearing some of my favorite pieces, which is this beanie, which, by the way, didn't come with the koala ears. I added these because I like them. They're cute. And this t-shirt and this belt, these are all favorite pieces. And this pair of jeans, which, look, I can't show you the full thing. And then I'm also wearing slippers, which are my favorite orthotic slippers. But these jeans I have had for so long, for 20 years. I can't really date them because I actually picked them up from a very, very cool, the markets, Roselle Markets, which was, everyone who looking for good vintage and antiques, etc., would head towards Roselle Markets in Sydney. Dwayne and I hope to be going to all of these places again shortly. That depends on who would like to join us in this rise. I kid you not. I have never, ever, ever failed at things I have applied myself to. So join me now and let's see where we all go with this. But Dwayne and I do hope to take you to markets, and I hope to then take you to Roselle Markets, which is one of my favorite markets. I don't know, Dwayne and I went there, I think last time we went there was about 3 years ago. And it hasn't got the same kind of vintage, but there's still some really good things. So come vintage hunting with me. And stay tuned because there's going to be some other things happening, because we will also be going vintage hunting with people in strategic places in the world. So they will then share with you and via me or photographs, etc., about their 5 vintage pieces they have found that month or something. Stay tuned for that. So this wonderful pair of jeans that I absolutely love. It's actually a men's pair, and by cult Australian label Suva. Now this was when Suva was actually spelt with a T. Now I don't really know what that means. I think they were just whatever. Now it's spelt with a K, Suva, because they got sued. They got sued for the use of that T, S-U-B-I. It's a bit of a shame. I would love to show you this a little bit more, because the wonderful thing, I think this is a men's pair of jeans, and it was a size small. I just loved it, and used to hang lower, but with age comes weight, which is great because I like just having fat on me, because that means I've got fat in my brain, and we need fat in our brains. I think that might be a bit of a problem for people right now, but anyway, we need fat in our brains to think. So these jeans. Sorry, I do digress, don't I? These jeans I picked up at Roselle Markets 20 years ago. I don't know, somewhere long ago. If somebody can tell me if they can date this, what is it called? Provenance or whatever. No, that's not. What's the term? I can't remember when you can date something. Then I will know when I got it. But it's fabulous. It's got graffiti all over it. And Suva was very famous for, I think they sent rats down the runway at Australian Fashion Week. I don't know maybe when it was Rosemont Australian Fashion Week or Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week. but they sent rats down the runway with a supermodel walking. Back when Australian Fashion Week was really hot. I will share information about that shortly. I have been going to Australian Fashion Week for about a decade, not every year, of course. The pandemic put an end to that. And I'm not so sure about what it's like anymore, but again, we'll talk about that later. Let's continue. How many minutes do I have? Oh, goodness me. Ta-da! We'll stop now. Okay. While we are talking, oh, by the way, sorry. I have shown you my orthotic slippers, right? Great. And I completely forgot to actually, so if you could just give me, I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere, but I absolutely forgot to wear my earrings. So these are my earrings. And because, of course, I need to represent. Hello. I need to represent. And I bought these in Suva, at the Suva Handicraft Center, where Mrs. Mala Chand and her daughters, one of them, Christine, they have 3 wonderful stalls packed with earrings and necklaces and all sorts of incredible things. It's just a treasure trove. It's like, Aladdin's cave, open sesame or whatever. I don't know, something like that. But it's fascinating. It's wonderful. So I love these. These are very favorite earrings of mine. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I kind of cheated. I said 5 favorite pieces. So that's, hanging there, and I'm also wearing. Let's start. This I have to actually start with because I have a bit of an addiction to op-shot denim jackets. I love looking for denim jackets. I'm obsessed with them. And I found some really amazing pieces. I've actually found some really amazing pieces in Fiji, but I will share that with you later. So this particular jacket, it's not the denim jacket actually, but it's a very nice light one. And I like where it ends on me, because you do have to be careful where something stops. Not careful. I mean, if you don't care, you don't care. But I think we should all endeavor to step outside of our household, our houses, being a pleasure for everyone else's eyeballs in whatever way. You don't have to be absolutely polished, because that's not pleasurable to see all these painfully made up faces and like you think you're going to start walking around with a filter in public. It's crazy. Everyone puts their best face forward on screen now, and in reality everyone just doesn't care. It's kind of sad, or everyone's a clone. Anyway, this is not about the denim jacket, and as I was saying, I do like it because I do like where it cuts off, because depending on your proportions, you should actually follow your proportions. I don't really want to give well, why not? Look, my height is not in my torso, it's in my legs. And so I have to be careful I do not stunt myself by wearing anything that is lower than my hip line. And that way I can make my torso look longer. But I assure you, I am not this long, and the torso is just all perspective. Anyway, so it's about this. Sorry, I turned around because I wanted to show you why I love this particular jacket. It's because of this print. Now this print, which I can't see myself showing you, but okay, I hope you can see it, is very special to me. And I'd like you to meet Dina and Satya. This print was created by Dwayne Levi. He doesn't like it anymore though, because he's like, I can do this again. I'm like, it's okay. I love it. I'm sure you will do something as equally as spectacular now, but as we grow, as we expand, etc., and as we give vent and unleash our wings of our artistry, it's amazing what happens. Anyway, so this is my favorite denim jacket, which I might share all my denim jackets with you friends. I tell you, we can have an entire hour episode on that, because I love denim. Denim tuxedos are trending, and that's if you wear jeans and a denim jacket, etc. And anything denim is trending. And of course, because Beyonce has got Cowboy Carter, yay, rule 'em. So of course the whole Western look is very much in fashion. I have always loved Western clothing. I have got cowboy boots, and there's a story of a pair of cowboy boots I cannot talk about right now, but we'll talk about sometime. And I've got hats, etc., and just Western clothing. I love it. I've always really, really loved Western clothing. So at any time, any decade, any era, it has Western clothing, has Western, when I say Western, I mean the quintessential cliche stereotype, cowboy country, and it's usually white. But if you know your history, you must understand that usually the cowboys of any country would have started out predominantly Black or First Nations. Ooh, contentious what I'm saying, I know. But we'll talk about these things later. But anyway, go Yonsei. And this is, my favorite denim jacket because it is a VT679 print created by Dwayne Levi. And stay tuned for that because he's got some other fantastic prints coming your way. By the way, I really would like to share with you how to actually take a jacket off, because the art of taking a jacket off seems to be lost on runways. I'll share that another time. There is an art, so you're not left with inside-out sleeves. I was trained by the best back in the day. Back when modeling was an art and not just an excuse to show yourself off because you take pretty photos. We're moving on. Okay, look, I need to show you this fantastic dress. Look at it. I can't remember if the term for this pleat is either sunray or crystal, but it's a stunning, just, I wear it off shoulder and it sweeps around and I just, look, I should be trying these things on, but look, I don't have the time for that right now. And I last wore this, let me see, I have worn it all over the world. I have worn it in Luxor, Egypt, going out to the fine dining restaurant there at the White Hotel, the White, whatever palace, of course, colonial, hello. But I wore it there. And where else have I worn? I wore it with a fabulous vintage necklace, like crystal of old, that just glinted in light. It's just divine. And I will share you details about where this dress is from, and where I got it in a moment. I'm just telling the story for you. And before that, I wore it. It's a very special dress. It's a dress I travel with all over the place because it scrunches into the smallest. It's weightless, basically, but it is a full-on gown. A beautiful light blue, by the way. This color is very, very much in season in 2024 if you follow colors, not for fashion trends, but actually for chromotherapeutic reasons. Now, this color, I think people just want some calmness, and ice blue seems to calm people. Or just, take the sting out of all the fires within or something. Anyway, I have worn this also in Siam Reap, going for my birthday dinner in 2015. And that was we were at the Raffles in Siam Reap, another colonial place, I know, but that Siam Reap in Cambodia. So I wore it there as well, and that was rather lovely. I found this gorgeous dress, which is just it's one of my favorite traveling pieces. It never leaves my suitcase if I'm going anywhere. Well, I mean, it does. You know what I mean? I pack it, is what I'm saying. By iconic Australian designer Lee Bird, who was a big name in the late 70s and 80s and 90s. And that's why I know of her, because I went to school in Australia in the 80s. And so, of course, I knew Lee Bird. She was huge in Queensland. And this is one of her dresses. Lee Bird's daughter, Serena Bird, has a blog, I believe, called The Joyful Fashionista, and it's got to do with more circular economy clothing. So, she says she's the opposite of her mother. I'm going to put in the caption a link to a story about 5 years old that was in Sydney Morning Herald, where Serena is talking about her glamorous mother. And that's, yes, a wonderful, gorgeous Lee Bird. And I have actually got some other Lee Bird pieces. I found this out back, and I don't remember if this was in Dubbo or somewhere near Longreach. I don't remember. Longreach, Queensland, or Dubbo, New South Wales. I don't remember. But I swear if I look hard enough, I can find, because I like to photograph all the op shops we go to, every op shop I have been to. And it's when Dwayne and I have been out back, it's unfortunately been at times when op shops have been closed due to the pandemic, etc., etc. And op shops out back now, or anywhere rural, anywhere now have been stripped bare by vintage hunters. Well, I don't know. I don't buy them for resale. Although I did used to actually purchase vintage, go and look in op shops for vintage items for people who used to buy from me when I would sell my clothes on eBay. Like I'd buy vintage clothes and I would sell some on. And so they asked me to look for pieces for them. So I would do that. But I would generally, for me, because I love collecting history. Now, op shop is what we call thrift shops in Australia, and I believe the term opportunity shop was coined by Melbourne socialites sometime in the 60s. So that's why we call them op shops, and it's a bit more catchy, and I think it made people feel, because Australia has got a very weird um, class problem. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Or maybe where everyone's felt made to feel like, no, you can't. You've got to keep up with the Joneses. And so it's easy to, it's perhaps lovelier to say op shop than it is thrift shop. But I assure you, everybody is thrift shopping now in the circular economy. If you're op shopping, it's because you've got money and you just want to go and satisfy the traumatized consumer in you. We're going to move on. Now, this is actually one of my favorite ensembles. These are pants. This is I love matching pieces that I can also wear separately. So this is from one of my most favorite collections shown in Australia by an Australian designer. Romance was born, and that's Anna Plunkett and Luke Sales. I remember being in the media pit when this collection called Electro Orchid was shown. And this was in 2017, and it was the Resort 2018 collection shown at the then Mercedes-Benz Australian Fashion Week. And I was in the media pit because I used to write about fashion and photograph fashion, etc., and write for in-flight magazines. Not big ones, but enough to pay well. So this is, oh, wait, what am I doing? Look at how gorgeous it is. Look, it's wonderful. I have worn this quite a few places. I've worn it out back, the pants, just casually, just, going out back and just wearing it. This used to be, because unfortunately, Romance Was Born doesn't design for women like me, nor actually women. They mostly design for tall, willowy, very, very thin, Euro white, or really cool brown girls, So it's a bit sad because they should be taking advantage of all the incredible women in their 50s who really, really understand who they are now and enjoy their style and their flair. Well, I don't know. That's just me then, maybe. But I do think that women in their 50s are really coming into their own. It's interesting. We'll talk about that another time. Stay tuned to the Sandhya show for more information on that one. This was a dress, and it had a very frou-frou frill to match, the sleeves. And it was very unflattering, especially for someone with a short torso. So it's actually made for a long torso person. So I cut it and I wear it with the pants, but I did make sure I first wore it as is. And perhaps someone would say, that is so rude. How could you do that to the designer's vision? I respected the designer's vision twice until I said, now I need to respect my body. Okay, so that's when I chopped it. And I have kept the ruffle. I use the ruffle just to wind around me. I should have brought it. I don't know where it is. Because to be fair, I'm only pulling things out of my seasonal wardrobe. I still have a lot of things that, anyway. So these are pants. I love them. They're huge, wide-legged palazzo pants. And I just feel I feel lovely just wafting around the place wearing this. Electro Orchid 2017 collection from Romance Was Born. If I could, I would have bought the entire collection. They did it in conjunction with one of their favorite artists, and I'm sorry, the name is, I can't quite remember the name right now. But there was a few things, and I will hope to show you, I will give you a link in the caption to my photographs of that collection, which I think, quite modestly, frankly, that my photographs of the Electro Orchid collection shown at Resort 18 in 2017 were the best photographs of that collection. I kid you not. I will put a link in the caption for you to see. But it was a little bit off. I think that Romance Was Born has always been outside of the trend cycle anyway. They've always been, ooh, the creative, crazy ones. And, you know, they tend to make beautiful landfill, but they make art, and I treat their designs as art. I don't buy for the fact that they, you know, it's polyester made in China. If it's made by a brown designer, then it has to be ethical from the source. Go and make your own cotton or whatever. But, you know, if you're a privileged, and they're not really rich, because who buys their stuff? Most of their clothes would be considered too esoteric for the normal person. It looks great on a runway, and influencers who only wear it to be photographed in, and then who wears it afterwards? Well, people like me who understand that clothing is art, and I invest in this because I would love to keep it for as long as possible, because I love it. I love the stories. And Romance Was Born very much create collections with, by the way, no one's sponsoring this shit, okay? I'm sorry. I have a lot of information that I like to share, and I respect people's artistry. Even if they don't actually care about people like me who respect their artistry. Again, I don't mean to sound churlish. I'm just saying this is a fact of life, because I'm also, as I said at the start of this show, there has been some terrible things that have happened in Sydney, and I'm heartbroken about it, but I also know a terrible truth about it. That because it has happened to a generally Eurocentric part of society, it's going to get more coverage. I will talk about this more in the Daily Egg tomorrow. Please join us at 7 o'clock on The Lives of Our Days. I'm going to continue talking about what we're doing here. So that's it. I do love Romance Was Born. If I could, I would buy everything. And I have got a few other things, you know, accessories, etc., etc. They're a major designer brand. It's expensive. You do have to sort of, when I buy new, I buy for an investment. Regardless of where I buy anything, whether it be in an op shop, a thrift shop, etc., or if I buy it in, unfortunately, someplace like, you know, a mass department store, I intend to buy for keeps. So I buy not because I just need something disposable. I buy for keeps, and that may sound like, or make me sound like, a bit of a wanker. So be it, because I keep things because I appreciate how it was made. So anyway, that's just what I think. My darling, can we just check that the sound is okay? Because I'm always terrified now that we have sound problems. Oh, great. Sorry about that behind the scenes stuff, but I always get a little bit worried.
When you walk behind, the sound is
Oh,
low.
well, where? Okay, that's fine if I do. So can you just tell me what the sound is like right now? Great. Well, I'm here. Ta-da! Anyway, so where were we? Now I will come to another favorite piece. This is very special to me. This was a sari that belonged to my mother. And, well, I think because it's one of those, you know, really delicate material ones, I don't quite know if this is silk, because she used to wear this very casually, like to work or something. But I have got my mother's saris, etc. So this is beautiful. It feels so nice. And it's such a gorgeous color. Again, a color that it's a bit more deep than what you can see here on screen. It's a deeper magenta. No, not magenta. Yes, it is magenta, I think. So it's deeper than the pink you can see. So this dress I got made in Pokhara, Nepal in 2014, because I took the saris with me to wear as I was going around Nepal photographing, and very, very remote, not like glamorously. It was very on the street, but it was wonderful. It was with a charity that goes into, which I didn't realize was a very religious charity, but they do good work there, and I got to see some really amazing things. And because the people in Nepal speak Hindi, it was wonderful for me to be able to really find out stories, etc., etc. So spent a week in Pokhara with a friend who we were traveling together, and I took this to a wonderful woman, a tailor there in Pokhara, and I said, could you just, because I had my Oman dresses from Oman, which are like this, and I said, could you just copy this and make this out of a sari? And she did, and it was wonderful, and I love this dress, and I wear it everywhere, and I love it. And it's very special to me because it was my mother's sari. So I don't always have the patience now to wear a sari. I think, but when I was in my 20s, I wore saris all the time. Not just because I did adopt the sari as a work uniform. For those of you who do know my history, well, it may be boring to you now, but in the early 90s, I was one of the first faces of television in Fiji, and I wore saris to read the news, and got to wear saris all the time because it was also about representation of identity. I was against the background was a wonderful Marcy Tapa print, backdrop, and I thought it was quite a statement for me to wear a sari and be a child of Fiji post coups that were the result of racial tension. Anyway, but now I like to wear saris over pants and I tie and knot everywhere. I don't have time for pleats. In my 20s, 30s, and 20s and 30s, I had the time to make the pleats and make sure, all of it folds really well, etc., etc. But when you get to be old, it's like, oh, look, I haven't got time for this. I'm just going to tie it because I love saris. I love saris. Now, this jacket, I do have to show you. On this jacket I purchased when Dwayne and I were in Fiji. Stay tuned to the slideshow. We were in Fiji in 2022, living there for a few months. We were supposed to be there for longer, but 3 months was how long we were there. And I found this in one of their chain op shops. Their chain, it's called Value City. And it's fantastic. They import clothes, or they get all the clothes that don't get sent to landfill, get sent to countries like Fiji. I think it's great. I think people then have access to clothing, and for really, really like low prices. I have found some incredible pieces in Fiji, and I will share with you that soon because I think I have enough to share with you, or I might share it in the best op shop finds. But this one was definitely one of my best. I found this in Value City in Suva, which is unfortunately in a very historic building. And it's a bit sad to see that now it's that, but it's still making use of it. Smack bang in the middle of the city, we have a thrift shop. That should tell you a lot about the state of Suva's economy, or Fiji's really, because everybody wants to look good, but no one can quite afford to. It's terrible. So all the designers in Fiji don't necessarily get bought, but again, they charge ridiculous prices because it's only the privileged people who really are doing something in that regard. We'll talk about that another time. So this, and let me get the pronunciation right. It's a Tangzhuang, and it is spelled Tang, T-A-N-G, Z-H-U-A-N-G. I do hope I am pronouncing this correctly. If I'm wrong, please forgive me and please correct me. So I do believe it is Tangzhuang. And that's spelled T-A-N-G-Z-H-U-A-N-G. And I do have quite a bit of information, so let me just gather that information. But this beautiful short one, beautiful, it's a burgundy color. I really love it, and I must share the wonderful reel. It's a beautiful burgundy color, and I must show, sorry, the microphone is here. I keep forgetting. And it's got the classic Mandarin collar and the frog buttons. And I found this in Suva, along with a Sassenbide bodysuit. So fantastic, strapless white. Sassenbide is another legendary Australian designer name. And a pair of salwar kameez pants. So the salwar part of the salwar kameez, which I cut and made into pedal pushers. And Dwayne and I walked through the city of Suva, photographing and filming. So stay tuned to the slideshow. We've got the slideshow. Let me continue. That is not the theme, by the way, so don't think that. I love Tangzhuang jackets. Now, I do know a little bit about them, so I'm not going to share too much. I'm just going to share a little bit to explain how gorgeous these jackets really are. Let me see. Great. So, look at this divine. It's really long. I'm sorry you can't see it. I should perhaps step up on something like a stool. Give me a moment. Give me a moment. I will rectify this. It's the beauty of having your own studio. You can do whatever you want. Oopsies. Just try not to fall. That's not what we want. Look at how it's long. It's got pockets. And it just elevates any ensemble. I wear it with jeans. I wear it over dresses. I wear it in all sorts of ways. I do love practical clothing, so I very much like pants and tops, etc. But I love dresses, of course. Actually, no, I love everything. No, forget what I just said. But if I had to choose a signature outfit, I think I've got a few signature outfits. But isn't this divine? I do have to come close to the camera so you can see the color properly. Look, it's a bit, shiny, but it's deeper teal. It's absolutely divine. And I will put some links in the caption so that you can see how I will put some links in the caption so you can see how I have worn it at different times. But I absolutely love this jacket, and I actually have a bit of a collection of Tangzhuang jackets. Now, Tangzhuang jackets, Tangzhuang actually literally means Chinese jacket. And when I say literally, it comes from a bit of a historical background. Now, these are Mandarin, so Manchu, from the Manchu region of Han, and with Han influences. And these were actually worn by Manchu horsemen. Now, of course, I guess everyone wears it, but there's been a long, interesting, varied history as to how this became what it did. This was in the Qing dynasty, and Magua, I think that it's called either a Tangzhuang, which is Chinese jacket, or a Qing Magua, which means horseman's jacket, horse jacket from the Qing dynasty. So I do have a lot of information to share about with that, including all the little things that make up a, Tangzhuang, make up a Tangzhuang. So, yeah. Well, I'll talk more about that another time. What else do I want to share with you about any of this? What else do I want to tell you about these jackets? They're beautiful. They're vintage. They're wonderful. They feel great. I got this one from a favorite vintage. She's an old school one. She's been doing it for a long time. Linda from RECYCOLOGY. And that's who I got this from. I will also give you links to go and see how I have used this to photograph other things. And when I first photographed this jacket on a lovely model, I used to photograph a lot of things on, and then I had to get this jacket for myself because, oh my gosh. But I do have some other ones too, and I will share more history about the history of clothing. And this is when I do talk about the philosophy and also the purpose and the history of clothing. All of this is for a reason. Isn't it interesting that what I'm wearing today was once, centuries ago, a uniform for Manchu horsemen, and it was just in navy blue or a dark blue then. But now over time it became something that everyone, I guess, could wear to represent China. And I do think, no, maybe I won't share that much information with you now. I'll share a lot of information with you later when we talk more about the history of certain items and how clothing becomes what we wear today, and why are we all wearing Western style clothing? What happened? What's going on here? So I share a lot of that in the sharing of my wardrobe and what I know and my history and my photography, because I absolutely love photographing fashion, but I absolutely love photographing runway fashion, and I am very good at that. I'm not, I don't think I'm big noting myself. I think I can back myself when I say that. So again, the link to my runway photography is in the caption. Woo! It is a bit warm in here, of course, and I am expending a lot of energy. And I will share how one must take off a jacket in public, but not just in public, anytime. It's what you do behind the scenes when no one can see you, when you're alone, that actually tells you who you are. So I can't just leave my clothes in a heap or mistreat them. To me, this is history, but it's beautiful. I love things. I do find it interesting that because most people of privilege, when they're born to privilege, which I was, but if you know anything about my story, you know that's a bit of a convoluted story there. it's not convoluted, it's complex. And it's not complicated, it's just complex. I have always loved clothes. I inherited the love of fashion, style, and clothing, and those are three different things. I inherited that love from my mother. And my mother, oh gosh, she was stylish, regardless of what she wore, whether it be saris or Western clothing, because we lived in other countries. She was so very stylish. And when when I developed my sense of style, she let me develop it further. She let me choose what I wanted to wear. She never tried to dress me up as a doll. I do recall very, such wonderful memories. My mother letting me choose if I wanted to wear a dress or pants that day. I loved dressing up. I didn't own jeans. Get this, I didn't own jeans until I was about 19. And I bought my first pair in Melbourne at Maya or Grace Brothers. Was it David Jones? No, well, one of those. And it was Levi's 501s, you know, with the button fly, which these ones are as well. And those were my first pair of jeans. And it became my uniform, chunky black boots, not Doc Martens, chunky black boots, my 501s, and, you know, just a t-shirt and a black jacket. It was all very, of the time. And that's when I first, but then from then on, I loved jeans. I love jeans. I have quite a collection of vintage jeans as well. I love them. So, 5 of my favorite pieces on the rack, and 5 that I'm wearing, which is a bit of a cheat, but I thought I could for the first episode of Stylander, just show you 10 and how I apply them, because I wear everything. I don't just have things for show or for special occasions. Well, it depends on my mood too. Sometimes at home I'm dressed to the nines, and sometimes I'm just casual. So I guess it's very mood. My clothing style is very erratic. As I said, clothing, fashion, and style are 3 very different things. And I was able to develop my style thanks to my mom giving me autonomy over what I chose to wear. So when I do share information about fashion, it's because fashion is a language. So fashion is the language, and clothing are the words, and style is how you speak. That's what fashion is, and I love it. And it's a wonderful carrier of history, a wonderful, messenger of the zeitgeist. You can tell what's happening in the economy by even such things as where the hemlines are. There was such a thing, or this may be an urban myth, that there was a thing called the hemline index on the stock exchange, probably the Dow Jones, I don't know, where if hemlines went up, it was a sign of the times. And it's interesting, though. I do think that if the general thing was if hemlines went up, it didn't actually mean there was less material. I think it meant that women felt freer, so there was a bit less stress in the air, and they could just be all, fancy, whatever, and carefree, etc. And the more material on a garment, the more apparently we want to hide. So that's what that was. And I will have to fact check that if it is an urban myth or it really is such a thing. I know I have kept that information in my head for a long, long time. So that's the first episode of Stylander. I hope I don't know, what is it you expect to gain? And I hope you enjoy it. I hope you will join me next week for Stylander, where it's another 5 pieces of something else. So I'll let you know. The schedule will be there on our channel, on our TV guide. We've got quite a lot of shows launching next week. And soon, this afternoon, actually, at 5 o'clock, we've got The Riff, where we talk everything music. Because, actually, we know a bit. I used to be a radio presenter at a time when we were the carriers of knowledge in a country that didn't have visual media. And we were able to play and explore music and really I really expanded my musical knowledge. Also, my Afro music from that time, where I found out, in the late 80s, I found out that Mali was the birthplace of blues. And so we'll share you with that. But today's episode, Dwayne and I are talking about songs that mean something to us because of the time they came out, or what the lyrics mean, and what we did and how we felt, etc., and facts about the song. So we don't know what the other song is, and we'll be sharing that with you at 5 o'clock on the Lives of Our Days, The Riff. Hope you can join us then. Thank you very much for being here. See you next week on the Stylander. Bye.